This is the Acuty digital multimeter. Let's take it out of the box. In the box you get the user manual, and here is the meter along with the meter leads. So you have your red and your black, positive and negative, which would be plugged into the appropriate ports. COM is your negative, or the black one, and the red can be plugged into the volts, ohms, and milliamps, or be swapped over to the 10 amp side if you're measuring current. This meter will measure many different things for you. It will measure AC voltage, DC voltage. You can test resistors. There's even a thing here where you can test transistors on it, diodes. It has a continuity test with buzzer. All that kind of great stuff is built right in. There's an LED backlight for the display there, and a kickstand on the back that opens up right over here. There we are. And it can stand up like that. So let me go ahead and plug these in, and we'll test some various items. Now, before we even get started with this, I'm not going to be showing you how to use a multimeter for two reasons. Number one, this is a review video, not a how-to. And the second reason is that if you bought a multimeter, it's probably because you know how to use one. If you do still need to learn how to use one, there are probably 1,486,282.3 videos on YouTube that'll teach you how to use it. So first thing we're going to do is measure a battery. I have a AAA battery. I don't know what the status of this battery is, if it's any good. I believe it has some power. Let's see how much. So we're going to put the scale over here to DC volts on the 2 volt scale, and we're going to go ahead and hook up the battery and see what we get. 1.597 or 8, 1.598. So that's good right there. This battery is still certainly serviceable. It would certainly work in a remote control or anything like that. Incidentally, if you have trouble reading the screen, there's the backlight right there. The camera seems to do a fair job with that. It's very, very readable even without the backlight in real life. Now, the backlight does not stay on forever. It'll stay on for 30 seconds, a minute, something like that, and just fades out, as you see right there. If you need it again, you can press the button there. We have another battery here. This is a AA, and I have reason to believe this is not the freshest out there. Yeah, a little weak, 1.57 or so. So a little bit on the weak side. And one other AA battery right here. Let's see what the status of this one is. 1.604. This is nice and fresh, this one. So that's all fine and good. Now the next thing we're going to do is measure AC voltage. Back over here I have an AC outlet. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to the 200 volt scale. 200 volts because we are in a 120 volt country where I'm testing this. So you do want to know an approximate range. You can always start on the higher end and go to a lower scale. I'll apply power to my outlet, and I'll go ahead and probe it. And right now we are getting 118.5 or 9, 8, 6. It's going to vary just a little bit across the board, and my central air is also running, so that is reading a little bit low, considering when that shuts off it'll probably jump up to right around 120, because at this time of year cooling is not, you know, it's a lot cooler out, so cooling inside the house is not as much as usual, and there's probably plenty of juice on the grid. So that's how we can measure AC voltage right there. I've switched back to DC voltage because this will show negative voltage as well. I'll hook it up the right way again in the correct polarity, and there we are at 1.604 or so. But if I flip the battery end for end and put the black on the positive side and the red on the negative, now it shows negative right there. So basically it's assumed positive unless it senses negative. So the next thing we can do is go over to the continuity test and test the buzzer. So right now it's showing 1 in the display, and if I touch my probes together, a nice loud tone, and it shows 0 ohms. And 0 ohms is exactly what you should have through the meter leads. Absolutely nothing right there, because there should be no resistance through such a short wire like that. Being that the air conditioner shut off, let's go back once again to the 200 volt AC scale. And we're reading about 118 before. Yep, there you go, 119.6, 0.9, even almost 120. So definitely that works well. So you can measure that. You don't have to use the beeper or the buzzer, whatever you want to call it. We can just put it on the resistance scale, and now you won't have that. But we should read very, very close to 0 with that on the resistance right there. 0.2, 0.3, it's basically negligible right there. So that does a fine job as well. Now, like I said, this will test a lot of other things. You can do diodes and transistors and things like that with it as well. That is beyond the scope of this video. But basically, it's a nice, compact, small multimeter, easy to use, and seems to be of decent quality, certainly. It runs on a 9-volt battery. The battery is included. If you do need to change it, there is a low battery indicator that'll show up on the display there, and you just go ahead and take that screw out and you can get to the 9-volt battery and replace that. So all around, a great meter from Acuty that does all sorts of different measurements for AC and DC volts, continuity, resistance, current, all kinds of things like that. Seems to work very well. If you'd like to purchase this item, I'll leave a link in the video description where you can find the item available for sale on Amazon. Thanks for watching. Make sure you click like, make sure you click subscribe, and take care. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.